The cheating wife was entertaining herself with her AP behind my back, thinking she could keep it a secret. But I recorded the hot moments of her infidelity on video and arranged a devastating revenge for them. But that was only the beginning of their nightmare. I used to believe that if you truly loved someone, you could trust them. That belief died the night I discovered my wife's betrayal. For the past few months, something had been off with Natalie. It wasn't just the typical stress of life or work. It was something deeper. She had become distant, distracted. Her phone, once casually left around the house, was now always tucked away. She laughed less, dodged questions, and her touch felt different. At first, I told myself I was overthinking it, that I was being paranoid, that I was imagining the way her gaze lingered a little too long on her phone, or how she suddenly started wearing perfume just to run errands. But doubt gnawed at me, whispering that I was being played for a fool. Then came the final straw. One evening, after she had excused herself for another late-night work emergency, I found her laptop on the couch, still logged in. The temptation to snoop warred with my conscience, but my gut told me I needed to see, and what I found destroyed me. A message thread with Jason. I can't stop thinking about earlier. I still feel you on me. You're insatiable. When can I have you again? Tomorrow. He won't be home until late. I stared at the words, my stomach twisting. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't an innocent conversation taken out of context. It was proof. Something inside me snapped that night. I didn't sleep. My body burned with anger, but I didn't let it consume me. No, I needed clarity. If I was going to act, I needed to be sure. By morning, I had a plan. Using small, undetectable cameras, I secured them in places she would never suspect. Our bedroom, the living room, even near the front door. If she was going to humiliate me in my own home, I would make sure I had every second of it recorded. For 2 days, I waited. Every moment she was near me felt like a lie. Every touch, every glance, every word that left her lips made me sick. But I stayed silent, watching, waiting. Then on the 3rd day, I got my confirmation. Sitting in my office, I pulled up the live feed on my laptop. Natalie had just arrived home. Not alone. Jason walked in right behind her. I felt my pulse hammer in my ears as I watched them on my screen. There was no hesitation, no shame. She turned to him, running her fingers through his hair, pressing her lips to his with the kind of hunger she used to reserve for me. I forced myself to watch, to see everything, every touch, every whisper, every betrayal. Then I pressed record. I sat there unmoving as they laughed, oblivious to the fact that their entire world was about to come crashing down. They thought they could keep this a secret. They had no idea I was about to turn their lives into a living nightmare. I didn't rage, I didn't break things, I didn't scream. I planned. Revenge wasn't just about exposing them. It was about destroying them, and I wasn't going to let anger cloud my judgment. If I was going to do this, it had to be perfect. The first step was gathering everything. For the next week, I continued collecting evidence. Every kiss, every touch, every disgusting whisper. They were all recorded in crystal clear quality. I captured dates, times, messages, and locations. If I was going to strike, I wanted it to be with undeniable proof. But exposing them wasn't enough. I wanted them to feel it. Natalie didn't just cheat. She mocked the life we built together. And Jason? He had been a friend. Someone I invited into my home. Trusted around my wife. He wasn't just a backstabber. He was a dead man walking. So I started making moves. Step 1. Destroying Jason. Jason wasn't just some random guy. He was a businessman. He had his own company, but more importantly, he had investors. Investors who wouldn't appreciate the fact that their golden boy was a walking scandal. I dug into his finances, searching for anything I could use. And it didn't take long. A few late payments, some questionable expenses. It was all small, but enough to plant doubt. Then I made my move. Using a burner email, I sent anonymous tips to his investors, raising concerns about his financial instability and personal scandals. I attached photos, not of him and Natalie in bed, but of them entering hotels together, disappearing into dark corners at parties. The kind of images that raised questions. Within days, whispers started. People began distancing themselves. Jason had no idea why. Step 2. Making Natalie sweat. Natalie was smart. She'd covered her tracks well, at least she thought she had. But what she didn't know was that I had every single one of her lies documented, and I made sure she started feeling the pressure. One evening, while she was in the shower, I sent an anonymous text to her phone. "I know what you've been doing. He knows too. Sleep well." I stood outside the bathroom door, listening as she picked up her phone. The sharp intake of breath, the rustling of fabric as she hurriedly unlocked it, the shaky exhale when she read the message. She didn't say anything when she came to bed that night, but I could feel it. She was uneasy. Good. Because this was only the beginning. Step 3. The perfect stage for the final blow. By the end of the week, Jason was in panic mode. His investors were pulling out, and his business was beginning to crack. He had no clue where the pressure was coming from, and I made sure to keep it that way. Meanwhile, Natalie was on edge. She started looking over her shoulder more, checking her phone constantly, deleting messages as soon as she sent them. She knew something was wrong. She just didn't know who was behind it. And then the final step, the reveal. I planned it for a special occasion. A gathering with friends, family, and colleagues. A night where everyone who mattered would be present. Because when I exposed them, I wanted the world to see. And when the night finally came, I was ready. They had no idea the hell that was coming for them. The night of the party had arrived. Everything was set. Natalie thought this was a celebration, our anniversary dinner, a night to showcase our perfect marriage. She had no idea it was her execution. The venue was elegant. Dim lighting, soft music, expensive champagne flowing. Our closest friends, her family, my colleagues, and most importantly, Jason and his wife were all present. Natalie looked stunning in her sleek black dress. She played the devoted wife role perfectly, greeting guests with her fake smile, holding my arm like she wasn't betraying me behind closed doors. I let her enjoy it because soon that smile would be wiped from her face. Step 1. The setup. The waitstaff I hired weren't just there to serve drinks. I had given them specific instructions. One of them discreetly handed Jason a small gift bag during the event, whispering, "From your admirer." Inside was a single item. Natalie's panties, the same ones she had slipped into his pocket at the dance weeks ago. And along with them, a note. "Smile for the cameras." I watched from a distance as Jason's face turned pale. His eyes darted around the room, searching for Natalie. He knew. He knew something was coming, but it was too late. Step 2. The first blow. "Ladies and gentlemen," I called out, raising my glass. The room quieted, all eyes on me. "I want to thank you all for coming tonight. It's a special night for me and my wife." Natalie beamed, thinking this was some romantic tribute. I continued, "I've always believed marriage is built on love, trust, and loyalty. And tonight, I'd like to share a story about those values." My voice was calm, measured. Jason shifted in his seat now. Natalie's smile faltered. Good. I reached for the remote in my pocket and clicked a button. The large projector screen behind me lit up, and the video began to play. Step 3. The moment of truth. Gasps. Utensils clattering against plates. Silence. On the screen, crystal clear footage showed Natalie and Jason wrapped around each other. The timestamps were unmistakable, the audio even clearer. Her moans, his voice, their whispered promises. There was no denying it. Natalie's face drained of color. Her breath hitched. Jason's wife looked horrified. Jason himself was frozen, his hands gripping the table as if it could save him from what was coming. And I just stood there, watching them crumble. I turned to Natalie. "You told me I was paranoid," I said. "You told me I was imagining things. Turns out I wasn't paranoid enough." She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I turned to Jason. "I hope ruining your career was worth it," I said, letting that sink in. His eyes widened. The realization hit him like a truck. Yes, Jason, I was behind it. Step 4. The final blow. Natalie finally snapped. She lunged toward me, grabbing my arm. Let's talk about this, she pleaded. It's not what it looks like. I pulled away. You gave up the right to talk when you decided to humiliate me. I turned to the guests. I have nothing left to say. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out an envelope. Inside were divorce papers. Signed, filed, irreversible. I threw them on the table. Natalie, I said coldly, consider yourself served. She broke right there in front of everyone. Tears, sobs, desperation. Jason's wife? She wasn't crying. She was furious. She stood up, took off her ring, and threw it in his face. You're a joke, she spat at him before storming out. Jason buried his face in his hands, completely ruined. His marriage was over. His career was falling apart. His reputation destroyed. Natalie turned back to me, begging, I can fix this, I swear. I walked past her like she was nothing. Because to me, she was. And as I stepped outside, breathing in the crisp night air, I smiled for the first time in months because this was only the beginning of their nightmare. I left the venue as a free man. No more lies, no more betrayal. Just the crisp night air and the sound of my footsteps as I walked away from the wreckage I had created. But I wasn't finished. Their suffering had only begun. Natalie's downfall. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Dozens of missed calls from Natalie. Voicemails filled with sobs, desperate apologies, and empty promises. I ignored them all. Instead, I focused on my next move. Natalie had always been obsessed with her image. The perfect wife, the charming socialite, the woman who could do no wrong. So I made sure everyone knew the truth. First, I uploaded the dinner party footage to a private group chat. Natalie's closest friends, her family, and even her colleagues received a copy. I made sure her parents saw exactly who their daughter was. Then I went a step further. I sent a copy of the footage to her company's HR department. Result? By noon, she was fired. A PR disaster was the last thing her high-profile firm needed. A married woman caught in a scandal with a coworker? That wasn't going to fly. Her career was over. And just like that, Natalie lost everything. Her job, her reputation, the cushy life she built on lies. But I wasn't done. Jason's ruin. Jason was a man who thrived on power. His entire identity was built around being the hotshot businessman, the guy everyone envied. So I made sure to strip him of that. A few well-placed emails, a couple of anonymous tips to his company's ethics board. The affair alone was enough to put him in hot water. But the proof of workplace misconduct? That sealed his fate. By the afternoon, Jason had been placed on indefinite leave. His name was circulating in office gossip like wildfire. And his wife? She filed for divorce immediately. Half his assets gone. His perfect life in shambles. The respect he once commanded? Dead. I imagined him sitting alone in their once beautiful home, drowning in regret, watching his empire crumble. Poetic justice. Natalie's last desperate move. Later that night, she showed up at my apartment. Eyes red, hair messy, makeup smeared. She wasn't the confident, put-together woman she once was. She was broken. She knocked frantically, her voice shaking. Please, just give me a chance to explain. I opened the door, looked her in the eyes, and simply said, No. Then I shut the door in her face. Her screams and sobs echoed down the hall. But I didn't care because, for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I slept better that night than I had in years. No more doubts, no more second-guessing. Just peace. But I knew people like Natalie and Jason, they wouldn't go down quietly. And I wasn't done yet. Jason's total collapse. A man like Jason thrived on power, status, and control. So I made sure to rip it all away. With his job on the line and his wife divorcing him, he was already in free fall. But I decided to speed up the process. I had one final card to play. I sent an anonymous tip to a business journalist, detailing how Jason had used company funds for his little romantic getaways. By morning, an exposé went viral. Jason exposed as a fraud. His career officially over. His investors pulling out immediately. By the end of the day, Jason was fired. Broke, alone, disgraced. Exactly where he deserved to be. Natalie's desperation. While Jason crumbled, Natalie was losing her mind. Her family had turned against her. Her friends had abandoned her. No one wanted to be associated with the woman from that viral video. She called, she texted, she even showed up at my workplace, begging for a second chance. I didn't say a word. Eventually, I got a restraining order. And the best part? I didn't even have to serve her personally. I had it delivered to her parents' house, the same place she was forced to move back to after losing everything. The woman who thought she could humiliate me, the woman who laughed behind my back, she was now a nobody. The perfect ending. A week later, I got an email from Jason's ex-wife. "I owe you a drink. You gave me the push I needed to finally leave that piece of garbage." I smiled. I never needed revenge to move on, but damn, it felt good. Was this revenge justified, or did it go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your take. And if you love jaw-dropping pro-revenge stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash the like for more thrilling tales you won't want to miss. Blast off. Every like, share, and subscription means the world to us. It helps us keep bringing you the stories you crave. Your support truly makes a difference. Thank you so much for being part of our community.